The Galactic Council met on Station 7, a massive space facility that orbited between two star systems. 47 different species gathered in the main assembly hall. The walls were made of a special metal that could change colors. The floor was smooth and cold. Thousands of eyes looked down from the upper levels where the observers sat and watched. Minnie was a human woman who worked as a translator for Earth's space agency. She was 28 years old and very smart. She had studied alien languages for 10 years. Now she sat in the human booth, which was very small compared to the others. Earth was new to space travel. Humans had only been able to leave their planet for a few hundred years. Most of the species here had traveled between stars for millions of years. The Valorian representative stood up first. His name was Commander Teo. He was very tall and his skin was blue like the ocean. His body was covered in armor made of a metal that humans did not have a name for. When he spoke, his voice was deep and strong. He spoke about how the Valorians were warriors and builders. He said they could make any world strong and powerful. He said Earth was a perfect place for a Valorian colony. The planet had good resources and good location. The humans living there could be trained to be good workers. Minnie listened and took notes. She wrote down every word he said. She knew that humans on Earth would want to know what was happening in this meeting. She felt scared. Earth had no weapons in space. Humans had no way to fight back if these aliens decided to take over their world. Next, a Celestarian named Dr. HFY stood up to speak. The Celestarians looked like humans, but they were taller and their skin had a light blue color. Dr. HFY was beautiful in a strange way. Her voice was soft and kind. She talked about how the Celestarians were experts in making living things better. She said they could improve the humans of Earth. She said humans had many problems like sickness and weakness. The Celestarians could fix these problems. She said the humans would be much better after Celestarian help. She did not say if the humans would want this help or not. Many other species spoke after that. There was a mechanist representative who looked like a machine made of metal and wires. He talked about how machines were better than living bodies. He said all humans on Earth should have their bodies changed into machines. He said this would make them stronger and faster. He said machines never got tired or sick. The sentient collective sent a message through the speakers. They did not send a person to the meeting because they were all one mind in many bodies. The voice from the speakers said that all humans should join the collective. It said that being part of the collective was wonderful. It said humans would not be lonely anymore. It said they would all think together and be happy. The voice did not sound happy. It sounded like a computer. Hour after hour, different species spoke their ideas about Earth. Some wanted to take the planet's resources like water and minerals. Some wanted to use the humans as workers or soldiers. Some wanted to study the humans and learn from them. Some wanted to change the humans into something different. Some wanted to build big cities and factories on Earth. A few species said they should leave the humans alone and just trade with them. But even these species said humans should give them something in return for trading. Minnie watched all of this with growing worry. She looked at the other human in the booth with her. His name was Jiho. He was an older man with white in his hair. He looked worried too. They did not speak because speaking was not allowed during the presentations. The day went on and on. The species kept presenting their plans for Earth. There were so many different plans. Commander Teo's warriors wanted to make Earth into a military base. Dr. HFY's scientists wanted to change all the humans' genes. The machines wanted to cover the planet in metal and computers. The collective wanted all humans to join their mind. Other species wanted other things. But every single species had the same idea. Every species wanted to come to Earth and take over. When all the presentations were done, the vote began. This was the important moment. The council leader was a very old alien that looked like a floating ball of light. He asked a simple question. Which species will dominate Earth? And who else agrees with them? The voting system was very simple. Each species had one vote. If they wanted someone else to be in charge, they could vote for that species. If they wanted to come together and work as a team, they could vote for that too. But mostly, species voted for themselves because they always wanted to be in charge of everything. The first vote was for Commander Teo's Valorian Empire. All the warrior species and military allies voted yes. They wanted strong leaders who would use force. The Valorians got 20 votes. The next vote was for the Celestarians. The scientist species and the species who liked biology voted yes. They thought changing humans and improving them was a good idea. But only 15 species voted for this. The vote for the mechanists got 12 votes. Only the machine-like species and the species who believed in technology voted for them. The vote for the sentient collective got 5 votes. Most species did not want to join a mind where they lost themselves. But then something unexpected happened. The old ball of light asked a final question. Will all species work together on Earth? Will you accept that many different groups will try to dominate the planet at the same time? Every single representative voted yes. All 47 species voted that they would go to Earth together. They would each try to dominate different parts of the planet. They would each try to control humans in their own way. They did not care that they had different ideas. They did not think about what would happen if they got in each other's way. The vote was unanimous, 47-0. Every species wanted to go to Earth. Minnie's hands were shaking as she watched the final numbers appear on the screen. She looked at Ji-ho. He looked very pale. They both knew what this meant. Earth had less than 1 month before the alien ships would arrive. Humanity had 3 months to prepare for war with the entire galaxy. The meeting ended. Aliens from all species started talking to each other. Some looked excited. Some looked angry about the vote, but all of them were ready to come to Earth. They all wanted to take over. They all believed that humans would be easy to control. Min-A and Ji-ho left the council chamber quickly. They had to call Earth immediately. The people of Earth needed to know what was coming. They needed to know that the decision had been made. They needed to know that the galaxy was coming to take over their world, and there was nothing humans could do to stop it. Or at least, that is what everyone believed at that moment. The ships came from every direction at the same time. They did not come slowly. They did not come to talk. They came to take over. On the morning of the invasion, Dr. Ki-taek was eating breakfast in his apartment in Seoul when the sky turned black. He lived on the 45th floor of a tall building. Through his window, he could see the city below him. The buildings were small from this height. The streets looked like lines on a map. The people walking looked like tiny dots. Then the ships arrived. The first ship was so big that it blocked out the sun. Dr. Ki-taek could not see the entire ship from his window. It was too large. It covered the sky like a dark cloud. The ship was blue and made of metal. It had lights that blinked in patterns that hurt his eyes to watch. More ships came after the first one. They came from the north and the south and the east and the west. They came from above, breaking through the clouds like they were nothing. Dr. Ki-taek was a surgeon. He had spent 30 years learning how to fix human bodies. He had saved many lives, but he knew that his knowledge meant nothing now. He was useless. A doctor could not fight alien ships. A surgeon could not cut away an invasion. He ran to his television and turned it on. Every channel showed the same thing. Ships falling through the sky like rain. Aliens landing in cities all over the world. New York, London, Tokyo, Cairo, Sydney, Mexico City. Everywhere. The aliens were not just in one place. They were everywhere at once. In New York, Professor Hai-jin was in her laboratory with her team. She was a computer scientist. She had been waiting for this day since the vote. She had 3 months to prepare. 3 months is not very long, but she had used every second. Her team had created special programs and hidden systems. They had made copies of important files. They had prepared weapons made of code instead of metal. When the ships landed in New York, the aliens did not attack immediately. They landed, and then they waited. They sent messages to the governments of Earth. The messages said the same thing everywhere. Surrender now, or be destroyed. You have 1 day to decide. You cannot win. You have no weapons that can hurt us. Give up, and you will be allowed to live. Fight back, and you will all die. The governments of Earth tried to fight back. Airplanes flew up to attack the ships. The airplanes had weapons and bombs, but when the bombs hit the alien ships, nothing happened. The ships did not break. They did not burn. The airplanes just fell out of the sky like dead birds. The aliens shot beams of light at the military bases. The bases burned, and the people inside them died. The military of Earth was strong compared to most human governments. But compared to aliens who had traveled between stars, the military was weak and useless. Dr. Kitaek watched the battles on television for an hour. Then the electricity went out. The aliens had destroyed the power plants. The city became dark. He could see the alien ships above him lit up by their own lights. He could see blue beams shooting down at buildings. He could hear explosions in the distance. He could smell smoke. In New York, Professor He-Jin and her team moved to the basement of their laboratory. They had prepared this place for emergency. They had hidden computers and power supplies. They had ways to connect to other humans around the world without using the normal internet. The aliens might control the big networks, but there were smaller ways to communicate. Professor He-Jin turned on the hidden computers. They were powered by a special battery that would last for months. She started sending messages to other scientists and leaders around the world. She wrote, "Do not surrender completely. Keep some people hiding. Do not fight with weapons. Fight with knowledge. Fight with thinking. The aliens are strong, but they are not smart like we are. We can use their own rules against them." The messages spread slowly. Not all governments listened, but some people heard. Some people understood. Some people began to hide. Some people began to prepare, not for a war that they could win with guns and bombs, but for a different kind of war, a war of the mind. All around the world, governments and military leaders had to make hard choices. After 72 hours, every government on Earth had officially surrendered. The aliens had won. The planet belonged to them now. The humans belonged to them now. There was nothing more to fight, but the aliens noticed something strange. Humans did not act like the slaves that they had expected. When Valorian soldiers tried to make humans work, the humans would work slowly or do the work wrong. When Celestarian scientists tried to take samples from humans, some humans would run away or hide. When mechanist machines tried to capture humans, the humans would destroy the machines in creative ways. When the sentient collective tried to make humans join, the humans would refuse or pretend to join, but do nothing. The humans fought back in ways that were not fighting. In the cities that were controlled by the Valorians, the factories where humans worked would sometimes stop for no reason. The machines would break. The tools would go missing. The humans said they did not know why. But the work would slow down. In the areas where Celestarians were trying to improve human genetics, humans would lie about their health. They would hide the sick ones and show the healthy ones. They would give wrong information about family history. The Celestarians found it very hard to understand human genetics when the humans were lying about everything. In the zones where mechanists were building machines, the machines would sometimes fail in strange ways. A computer would stop working. A power supply would burn out. A connection would break. The mechanists blamed bad engineering. They did not understand that humans were breaking these machines on purpose. Dr. Kitaek moved around Seoul in the dark. He helped hurt people who were hiding from the aliens. He did not use hospitals because the aliens controlled the hospitals. He used hidden rooms in basements. He used medicine that was old but still good. He saved people when he could, and helped people die peacefully when he could not save them. Professor Hei Jin sent coded messages through the hidden network. She talked to other scientists. She talked to engineers. She talked to people who understood technology. She told them all the same thing. Watch the aliens, learn their systems, find the breaks, find the places where they do not understand Earth. These are where we can hurt them. 1 week after the invasion, Commander Teo noticed a problem. The Valorian soldiers were supposed to be happy about controlling a new world, but they were frustrated. The work was slow. The humans would not obey quickly. The factories were not producing enough. The Valorians expected easy victory. They got something much harder. They got humans who did not fight with weapons, but who did not obey either. And the Valorians did not understand that this was only the beginning. The real problem was coming. The real problem was that all 47 alien species wanted different things, and Earth was too small for all of them to get what they wanted. The problem started small. It started with a simple question: who gets what? The Valorian Empire wanted the northern part of Earth. They wanted the cold places where they could build military bases and train human soldiers. The Celestarians wanted the warm places where they could build laboratories and farms where they could study human genetics. The Mechanists wanted the places with the most technology, like North America and Europe and Asia. The Sentient Collective wanted the places with many humans so they could try to convert them to their hive mind, but there were not enough places for everyone. Every species wanted the same areas. Every species thought their plans were more important than the other species' plans, and there was no one in charge who could make them all listen. In the first month after the invasion, the arguments started. They started as words and meetings. The Valorian commanders met with the Celestarian scientists. They talked about who would control the area around Brazil. The Valorians wanted to use it as a military training ground. The Celestarians wanted to use it as a research area because of the many different plants and animals. They argued for hours. Then they argued for days. Nobody was willing to give up. In the skies above Brazil, the situation got worse. Valorian ships moved into position. Celestarian ships moved into position at the same time. They were pointed at each other. They had weapons ready. If one ship fired, the other would fire back. If they started shooting, there would be a big space battle above Earth. Thousands would die, both aliens and humans. Mine watched this happen from a hidden room in Brazil. She had not gone back to Earth during the invasion. She had stayed on Station 7 to watch the Galactic Council. Now she had come back to Earth to see what was happening. She knew that this was the moment. This was when everything could change. She started sending messages to Jiwoo. Jiwoo was an engineer and computer expert. She had been hiding since the invasion. She was smart and brave. Min-A's first message said, "The aliens are going to fight each other. This is our chance, but we have to be smart. We have to make them fight harder." Jiwoo received the message through the hidden network. She was in a basement in Seoul with 10 other people. They had computers and old phone lines. They had ways to connect to other human groups around the world. When she read Min-A's message, she felt something she had not felt since the invasion. She felt hope. Jiwoo called a meeting of the smartest people she knew. There was Dr. Ki-Taek, the surgeon. There was Professor Hai-Jin, the computer scientist. There was Min-Ai, the translator. There was a man named Sung-Ho, who was an engineer. There was a woman named Da-Young who worked with satellites. There were others, too. They had all been hiding and thinking about ways to fight back. Now they had a plan. The plan was simple in idea, but very hard to do. They would make the aliens fight each other. They would lie and spread false information. They would use the aliens' own rules and suspicions against them. They would not use weapons. They would use knowledge and thinking. Jiwoo started by learning everything she could about how the aliens communicated. Da-Young helped her by using old satellites to watch the alien ships. They watched what the ships did. They watched when they moved. They watched when they sent signals to each other. Slowly, they began to understand how the aliens sent messages. Professor Hai-Jin created fake messages. She made messages that looked like they came from the Valorian commanders, but were really made by humans. In the fake messages, the Valorians said they were going to attack the Celestarians and take their research areas. The fake messages had details that sounded real. They had technical information. They had command codes that Professor Hai-Jin had stolen from the Valorian network. Then they sent the fake messages to the Celestarian ships. When the Celestarians read the messages, they believed them. They thought the Valorians were really planning to attack. So the Celestarians decided to attack first. The Celestarian ships moved closer to the Valorian ships. They pointed their weapons. The Valorians saw the Celestarians moving and thought they really were under attack. So the Valorians prepared to defend themselves. The two sides were about to start a war over an area of Brazil that neither of them really needed. But before they could fight, Jiwoo's team sent another message. This time, the message was from the Celestarians to the Mechanists. The message said that the Mechanists were secretly planning to take over all of Earth and not share it with anyone. The message said the Mechanists were making weapons to use against the other species. The Mechanists read this fake message and became very angry. They were already worried that the other species did not respect them. Machines did not like to trust living things. Now they thought the living things were planning to betray them. The Mechanists sent their own message to the Valorians. This message said that the Celestarians were planning to use genetic weapons against the Valorians. This was not true. It was another lie made by humans. But the Valorians believed it. Soon, every species was suspicious of every other species. The Valorians thought the Mechanists were dangerous. The Mechanists thought the collective was trying to take over their minds. The Celestarians thought the Valorians were stealing their research. The collective thought everyone was trying to stop them from spreading. The false messages and fake information spread through the network like a disease. They spread so fast and so wide that nobody could tell which messages were real and which were fake. All the species started to believe that all the other species were their enemies. Within 3 months, there was open fighting between different alien groups in many places on Earth. Valorian soldiers fought with mechanist machines in Europe. Celestarian research teams were attacked by creatures from the sentient collective in Africa. Trade between different species stopped. They would not share information. They would not work together. Dr. Keytyke watched all of this happen and felt amazed. The aliens had come to Earth as a unified force. They had planned to work together and divide Earth between them, but humans had used intelligence and knowledge to turn them against each other. Commander Teo began to understand that the invasion was not going the way they had planned. The humans of Earth were not becoming good workers or slaves. They were becoming difficult and tricky. The other alien species could not be trusted. The Valorian Empire was spending resources fighting other aliens instead of controlling humans. One day, Teo received a report from one of his commanders. The report said, "We cannot control this planet. There are too many other species. There are too many conflicts. The humans are making things worse by spreading lies and causing fights. This is not the victory we expected. This is a nightmare." At that moment, Commander Teo realized something important. Humans were dangerous, not because they had weapons, but because they understood systems. They understood how to use words and knowledge as weapons. They understood how to make enemies fight each other. They understood how to cause confusion and chaos. The golden age of the alien invasion was over. What came next would be much worse. For the aliens, at least. Jiwoo sat in the basement and looked at the maps on her computer screen. The maps showed all the places where aliens were fighting aliens. There were red lines and blue lines and green lines. Each color meant a different species. The colors were fighting each other everywhere. Jiwoo smiled. Her plan was working even better than she had hoped. But she knew that just making them fight with false messages was not enough. Sooner or later, the aliens would figure out that the messages were fake. They would start to check the messages more carefully. They would find out that humans were causing the lies, and then they would stop lying and start paying attention to what was real. Jiwoo needed something bigger. She needed something that would make the aliens want to fight each other for real reasons, not just because of false messages. She needed to find the real problems between the aliens and make those problems worse. Professor Hei Jin was studying the biology of the alien species. She spent weeks reading everything the scientists had written about each species. She looked at medical records. She looked at research papers. She looked at anything that could tell her about how the aliens' bodies worked. One day, she found something very important. She found that Earth's bacteria and viruses could hurt the aliens. Humans had lived with these germs for millions of years. Human bodies knew how to fight them. But the aliens' bodies were different. The aliens' immune systems had never seen these germs before. The germs could make them very sick. Professor Hei Jin called a meeting with the team. She said, "The aliens are dying. We do not need to kill them. They are killing themselves by breathing our air and eating our food. Each species is going to get sick in different ways. The Valorians might get sick from one type of bacteria. The Mechanists might get sick from another type. The Celestarians will get sick from something different. We can use this." Sung Ho, the engineer, understood what she meant. He said, "We can make each species think that another species is attacking them with disease weapons. We can make them think the germs are a weapon that was created on purpose. If they think they are under biological attack, they will fight back." This was a dangerous plan. It meant that the aliens might start using real biological weapons against each other. It meant that Earth could become a place of war and disease. But it was the best chance that humans had to survive. Dr. Ki-tak had a different job. He had to create real evidence that the aliens were dying from diseases. He had to make it look like the diseases were being spread on purpose. He had to make fake research papers and fake medical reports. He had to make them look like they came from alien scientists. For weeks, Dr. Ki-tak worked in the hidden laboratory. He created fake reports that said the Mechanists had created a virus to kill the Celestarians. He created other reports that said the sentient collective was spreading germs to weaken the Valorians. He made the reports look official and scientific. He used real medical information mixed with lies. Then Jiwoo and her team put these fake reports into the alien communication networks. The Valorian military received a report saying that the Celestarians had killed 3,000 Valorian soldiers with a biological weapon. The Mechanists received a report saying that the collective was trying to hack into their computer systems and replace their bodies with different machines. The Celestarians found reports saying that the Mechanists were stealing their genetic research and creating mutants to fight them. Every species received messages that made them afraid of every other species. The results were faster and more dramatic than anyone expected. The Valorian Empire sent attack ships to destroy what they thought were Celestarian research centers. The Celestarians fought back with their own weapons. The Mechanists began to isolate themselves from the other species, building walls and shields around their territory. The sentient collective started to create biological weapons of their own, hoping to protect itself. Within months, the planet was divided into multiple war zones. Different aliens were fighting in different places. The fighting was getting more violent. The weapons were getting more powerful. But the most important thing was happening quietly. The aliens were killing each other without realizing that humans were causing it. Every time a species got sick, they blamed another species. Every time there was a misunderstanding, humans made it worse with false information. Every time two species came close to peace, humans sent a fake message that made them enemies again. Minaye was working with governments from different countries. She was helping them understand what each alien species wanted. She was helping them prepare for the day when the aliens would leave. She was not helping them fight. She was helping them survive and wait. Jiwoo received a message from a human contact inside the Valorian military. The contact said that the Valorian leaders were arguing about whether to stay on Earth or leave. Some Valorian commanders thought Earth was too dangerous. Some thought the other alien species were more dangerous than the humans. Some wanted to attack the other species and take over, but all of them were tired of the fighting. The engineer Sung Ho created new fake messages. These messages were designed to make each alien species think that the other species had more weapons than they really had. The messages described weapons that did not exist. The messages described armies that were not real. But the aliens believed them. The mechanists started building more defensive walls because they thought the collective had huge weapons. The collective spread out their forces because they thought the Valorians were everywhere. The Valorians prepared for a massive invasion that was never coming. The Celestarians hid their research in more and more places because they thought it was being hunted. 1 year after the invasion, there was a meeting between the leaders of the alien species. They met on Station 7, the same place where they had voted to invade Earth. But now they were not united. They were afraid and tired. They had lost thousands of soldiers and many ships. They had not taken over Earth. They had taken over nothing. Commander Teo looked at the other leaders. The Celestarian scientist looked sick. The mechanist machines looked damaged. The representative from the collective looked confused. Teo said, "We came to take a simple planet with simple people. Instead, we have created a war that we cannot win. We are fighting each other instead of controlling Earth, and the humans are still surviving, still thinking, still finding ways to hurt us." A mechanist representative said, "I have found evidence of a human network. They are creating the false messages. They are causing the wars between us. They are using our own science and knowledge against us. They are very dangerous." But this information came too late. The damage was already done. The alien species had stopped trusting each other. The wars had started for real, not just because of lies. The planets and moons that they had wanted to protect were under attack from their own allies. Resources were being used up in fighting instead of taking over Earth. The humans were not fighting the aliens with weapons. They were fighting them with knowledge and patience and understanding, and they were winning. 2 years after the invasion began, the Valorian Empire made a decision. Commander Teo stood in the military command center above Earth. Around him were screens showing space battles, destroyed cities, and dead soldiers. His blue skin looked pale. His armor was damaged. He looked like a soldier who had lost everything. He gave the order to leave Earth. The Valorian fleet began to move away from the planet. The Valorian soldiers on the ground were told to get to the ships. They had 1 day to leave. After that, the ships would go. If any soldiers were still on Earth, they would be left behind. The Valorian soldiers did not understand why they were leaving. They had never lost a real battle. But they had been fighting other aliens for 2 years. They had lost friends and brothers and sisters. They had not seen victory. They had not seen the humans giving up. So when the order came to leave, they obeyed without question. The Celestarians faced a different problem. Their soldiers were getting sicker. The diseases that came from Earth's bacteria and viruses were spreading through their population. They had tried to use medicine, but Earth's germs were different from germs that the Celestarians had fought before. The medicine did not always work. Some Celestarians died. Others survived but became weak. Dr. Hai Wan, the leader of the Celestarian mission, made a terrible decision. She decided to create a biological weapon to kill the germs. But the weapon was not strong enough. It killed some germs, but also killed some Celestarians. The biological weapon got loose. It spread to the human population. Thousands of humans became very sick. Dr. Kitaek worked around the clock in the hidden laboratories. He had medicine that could help some of the sick humans, but he did not have enough medicine for everyone. He had to choose who to help and who to let die. It was the hardest thing he had ever done. But he did it because that is what a doctor does. When the Celestarians realized what had happened, they were ashamed. They had come to improve the humans. Instead, they had made them sick. They had come to take over. Instead, they had killed thousands. The Celestarian leaders decided to apologize and leave. They sent messages saying, "We are sorry, we have failed, we will go and never come back." The mechanist machines faced an even worse problem. The humans, working with Professor Hai-Jin, had created a computer virus. The virus attacked the machine systems from the inside. It corrupted their data. It made their calculations wrong. It made their machines act in ways they did not expect. Machines that were supposed to build started to destroy. Machines that were supposed to work together started to fight each other. The mechanists tried to fix the problem. They tried to create new computers and new machines that were not infected. But every time they created something new, the virus found it and infected it. It was like the virus could see the future. It was like the virus knew where the new machines would be and was waiting for them. In truth, Professor Hai-Jin was directing the virus from her hidden computer. She watched every mechanist system. She studied how they worked. She updated the virus to attack new machines in new ways. She was fighting a war of code against code. The humans had no weapons made of metal. But they had weapons made of information and mathematics. The mechanists realized they could not win. They could not fight an enemy that lived inside their own computer systems. They packed up their equipment and left Earth. As they flew away, they sent a message. "You have defeated us using our own technology against us. You are worthy opponents. We will not forget this." The sentient collective was the last to leave. The collective was a mind shared by millions of bodies. It wanted to make all humans part of itself. It had tried to spread to human minds for 2 years, but humans would not join. Humans would accept death instead of accepting the collective. The collective could not understand this. How could anyone prefer death to being part of something greater? The collective tried a different approach. It began to force humans to join. It created machines that could put alien parts into human bodies. It tried to change human brains to make them part of the collective. But the humans fought back. They destroyed the machines. They killed the alien bodies that carried the collective mind. They refused to change. The collective realized something important. Humans were not like other species. Humans would fight for their freedom even if they could not win. Humans would die rather than lose themselves. The collective could never make humans into good members because humans would always resist. After many months of this, the collective stopped trying. It packed up its equipment and its creatures and left Earth. As it left, it sent a final message to the humans. "You have shown us something we did not understand. You have shown us that being alone and free is more important than being together and safe. We still do not understand this, but we respect it." By the end of the second year, all the major alien forces had left Earth. But some smaller groups remained. These were the traders and scientists and explorers who wanted to study Earth more. They set up peaceful camps. They offered to trade with humans. They promised not to take over or force anyone to do anything. Jiwoo and her team decided to let some of these aliens stay. They were not a threat, and humans had never had contact with peaceful aliens before. The trade could help Earth develop technology that would protect them from future invasions. Dr. Ki-taek walked through Seoul looking at the damage. There were broken buildings and burned fields. But the people were clearing away the damage. They were building new houses. They were planting new crops. They were healing. Min-A stood on the station above Earth and looked down at the planet. The ships were gone. The soldiers were gone. The danger had passed. She had helped to save her world, not with weapons or fighting, but with knowledge and patience and understanding. Commander Teo, flying away in his ship, thought about Earth. The invasion had been a disaster. His soldiers had died. His plans had failed. But he had learned something important. He had learned that humans were more dangerous than any weapon. Humans could think and adapt and fight in ways that weapons could not. He decided that when he returned to the Valorian Empire, he would tell them the truth. He would tell them that Earth's humans were not weak. They were not simple. They were not easy to control. They were some of the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy, and the Valorian Empire should never try to invade them again. The age of alien occupation of Earth was over. The age of human survival and growth was beginning.